Welcome back, everyone. I wanted to do a little review on our greenhouse here. This has been up for about a year. We've got all of our plants and tarps around it. Can't really see the base of it on either side, but it's about 6 by 12 by about 7 foot tall, 6 by 12 and a half by 7 foot tall. Shade cloth up here, and it provides about 50% shade. And we got a lot of filtered light coming in. We've got our little window that has our actuator on it. And this little actuator, the cylinder pushes this piston up and opens this window at about 78 degrees autonomously. So we don't have to do anything except take this in the winter so it doesn't get frozen. Very good investment. We'll be buying several of these for our large greenhouse at our 3-acre property. So let's fully venture into the greenhouse here, see what we've got cooking up. Got tons of tomatoes all over the place. You can see I hung strings just to get everything up to the ceiling. This is just massive growth. We've got tomatoes just head high. We are hitting the ceiling in here, but I'm not too worried about that. It's just providing more shade for the undergrowth here so nothing gets cooked up. We have a lot of plants down below here that are all growing on the floor, nice and cool because of the shade. All of these plants kind of absorb the heat, and all our tomatoes absolutely love it. We've got tons of tomatoes. We got a random cucumber that came up and grew up and kind of shaded out front. There's a little cucumber there. Tomatoes all over. But this has been super productive. You can see tomatoes growing down in the undergrowth. We've got good light that comes through and filters through to every little section at all different times of the day. You can see these nice tomatoes. We've got tons and tons of tomatillos, more tomatillos, pineapple, ground cherries, I should say, than we ever had. We've planted so many because we saved all our seed from last year. We were able to propagate tons of tomatillos or ground cherries, the pineapple variety, and sell them and plant them and just kind of propagate them everywhere because we saved the seeds. Saving seed is very important to us, and it should be to you too, because you can propagate your whole next year's garden basically for free just by saving some seed. So here we are in the greenhouse. It is not too hot in here actually. It's probably about 60-70 degrees because of all this filtered light, and the ground is nice and cool. We just saw a bullfrog hopping around. He made his way from our pond into our greenhouse with all of our guppies here, and he has been up here eating all of the bad bugs in our greenhouse. Oh my gosh, there's another one. Just random bullfrogs hanging out on our tomatoes in our greenhouse. That is so cool. We just brought the wildlife just by building this thing and planting all these plants, having a little water source and some fresh cold water for them nonetheless, that is filtered through all of our plants up here and ran by solar power. No electricity is ran to this greenhouse other than by solar panels that are sitting outside the southern wall here. I just kind of wanted to give a yearly review. This has been up for about a year here, and we've been growing in here for about a year. You can see just the massive canopy of tomatoes we got. So many different varieties of tomatoes in here. The yellow currant cherry tomatoes, those were awesome. And they are delicious. So I really wanted to make this kind of review for anybody who's new to greenhouses or has been doing their research and kind of wants to start with a greenhouse. This was a DIY build, and we put it together all ourselves with just cattle panels and old recycled wood, and we built our gene pane system, and it runs off solar. So our goal was to grow and build a winter greenhouse that would suffice through winter, and we ended up heating it with solar power and a gene pane compost pile. That was super interesting to us, and we learned a lot, and I kind of just wanted to share our experience because we are progressively growing. We are building a larger and larger greenhouse down at our 3-acre property and farming more food than we have before, and we're just building and building and building this business that we're starting from the ground up. We want our permaculture nursery. So this is what we started in, is just this little 6 by 12 greenhouse, and it is full of life. There is so much life in here. We over sowed it because we wanted a bunch of early harvest, so we got our early harvest this spring. So after we harvested our spring crops here, we transplanted out all of our summer crops, and they just took over. They took off. They loved the humidity, and all of our propagations down here, you can see all these little figs. We've got a hazelnut cutting, some blueberries, more blueberries under my leg. We've got some red vein sorrel. We've got some cold hardy kiwis there, and we've got some more figs, and more cuttings than I can label right at the moment. But as you can see, we are achieving so much out of such a little space. We have our shelf built up here, which is only in effect in the winter time. We built it so we could grow right through the shelf, and it basically worked just how we planned. And we tried to do an undercrop of all of our tomatillos in here, so we used all of the space, and I think we did very well. We even got some eggplants coming up, and they're starting to produce little baby eggplants on there. We've got another eggplant throwing flowers and small eggplants coming. It's pretty cool to have all of this growing, because when it's rainy and stormy, me and the kids will come out here, grab a bunch of tomatoes and kind of hang out, feed the fish, and it's just a cool learning experience. Like I said, this has been 1 year in the making, and I can say that we've definitely outgrown it. I can't wait to get growing on our 52-foot greenhouse, because we have so much we want to grow. We just didn't have the room in here, and I'm interested to try and double layer our greenhouse down there and get growing all winter with that extra layer of poly, trying to insulate us through the entire winter. And we're going to use a compost pile to try and heat our large greenhouse down there. So for anybody who is thinking of getting a greenhouse, or thinking of buying a kit, or just kind of brainstorming the idea for next spring's build, I would surely start small. Definitely start small, because you can always build bigger or add on to your little greenhouse. This little greenhouse on this little property is not going to get any bigger. We're just putting all of our effort into our 3-acre property. But I certainly do enjoy hanging out in this little greenhouse. Me and my kids come out here all the time and just hang out and are propagating things, and they're in and out and checking out the fish. It's just a very cool little area to have. And it's so valuable to any propagating or seed starting. And when the weather starts to turn on you, this is where we grow. We get very cold winters here. We're right on the cusp of 5A to 4B, so we get some -40 to -60 winters, and this little thing held its own. We had plants growing all winter last winter in this little greenhouse. You can check out those videos somewhere on our channel there. I just want to close this video out by saying, if anybody has any questions, please drop them in the section below. I will answer anybody's questions about this little build we got in here, or if anybody wants a better tour of the outside. It's pretty overgrown around it right now. We have so much going on that we are overgrown, and we can't really see the outside of our greenhouse. And I guess you could say the same for the inside. It's pretty well overgrown. Came out here and pruned a lot of cucumber leaves and pulled a lot of vegetation back, because we really don't need all of those growing, and we don't need them filtering that much light. It was to the point where it was blocking out half of the greenhouse, so we had to do something about that. And I want to add one little more bit of information. This greenhouse is hard framed down. All of this poly is tacked down. It cannot be pulled up. You can see it comes right down, and we have it tacked down with wood on the outside, so all the water runs right off. But in the summertime, we cannot pull this poly up like most greenhouses in warmer climates. So if you are in a warmer climate, you may want to keep one side, or build windows into one side, so you can pull those up and get super good ventilation. We have our door, our window, our other window, and I have a little fan running to blow all of the hot air out also. So trying to get the best circulation we can in this little greenhouse. We learned a lot about circulation also, so that helped us at our 3-acre property with our 52-foot greenhouse build. I just want to share all the information that I possibly can, but I know I'm leaving stuff out. So don't forget to drop your comments in the section below, and I will get right back to you. I thank you for watching, and if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button.